Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a Rolex Oyster Perpetual Day-Date 40 in Everrose Red Gold. This is reference 228235. It measures 40 millimeters in diameter, 12 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, it measures 47.2 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Of course, the Day-Date 40, replacing the prior Day-Date 2 in 2015, is a much more wearable watch than the old Day-Date 2. That watch was over 53 millimeters across the wrist because of solid end links. This watch is just over 47 millimeters across the wrist because the President bracelet has pivoted end links, making this a better match for a wrist like mine, 16 centimeters in circumference, or yours, down to a wrist size of about 13.5 centimeters circumference. You could wear this watch well, and being thin with a sloped bezel, it'll slide easily under a dress cuff. For this generation of Day-Date, every single bracelet receives ceramic-coated pins. So the cause of Rolex bracelet stretch over the years has been the thinning of the pins inside the bracelet. The bracelet doesn't stretch, it's just that the play increases as the tolerances of those pins is worn down. Well, with the ceramic coating, the gold can no longer wear down the pins, killing bracelet stretch dead. Now, the watch is often nicknamed the Rolex President because of its famous and occasionally infamous ownership history, but since its launch in the mid-50s, the watch has been called the Day-Date, but the President bracelet has been a fact. Born with the watch in the mid-50s, it is properly named the President. This is the President bracelet. 3 links like the Oyster Sports bracelet, but short side profiles like the Jubilee dress bracelet, giving it a supple feel on the wrist. And like the Jubilee, large gaps between links actually mean this vents the wrist better on a hot day than the Oyster Sports bracelet. We have a conforming end link, so there's no gap between bracelet and case. And then you can see the outer faces are polished, the center is polished, the shoulders are satinated. There is a little bit of taper built into the bracelet. Removable links are fixed by screws, and you can see there are many of them, so sizing will be easy. The clasp is thick gauge, Everrose Red Gold. We have a beak and a hook, and these two things latch together and snap together. You actually have to lift the crown clasp, which is pivoted like a lever, and unlock. It's not simply a friction fit. And yes, we do have the crown clasp, the only visual partition point between the two sides of the bracelet being the 5-point coronet. The timepiece is made entirely by Rolex, as Rolex makes its dials, its cases, clasps, bracelets, and movements. It even has its own foundry, and it makes its own gold. It smelts its own alloys. This is Everrose, so a red gold with a high copper content. It is forever rosy because of its high platinum content, which prevents it from fading in color the way conventional pink, rose, and red gold will over time. The case design is graceful, very similar to a Yachtmaster, or in particular, a Datejust. That's really where this case design comes from. We have a twin lock crown in gold. You know that because when you see 2 dots, that means a twin lock in gold. If it were platinum, there would be 1 big dot, and if it were steel, it would be a slash. Now, the watch has a screw-down crown architecture, oyster caseback, 100 meters water resistant. We have a fluted and beautifully faceted, twinkling red gold bezel, and then a brown bronze metallic sunburst dial with a gilt style rose gold printing, a railroad track outboard for reading minutes and seconds. And then we have baguette diamond indices on the dial set in gold. They are gorgeous. Gem setting at Rolex is still done by hand. At center, we have baton style hands, polished and faceted in the center for better contrast. And we have a matching 18 karat red gold Rolex crown. Inside the case, next generation Rolex Day-Date caliber 3255 bi-directional automatic winding, now with a rotor bearing rather than the old jeweled staff. 70-hour power reserve. We have a hacking seconds function. We have a double quick set function for the day and the dates. You can set these two things separately from each other. The watch has a 31 jewel architecture, beats away at 4 beats per second. It has a full balance bridge and a free-sprung index for greater shock tolerance, a handmade Breguet overcoil hairspring, so it keeps the same excellent time in any physical position relative to gravity. That hairspring is made of a blue oxidized niobium zirconium alloy, so the watch is both highly anti-magnetic and highly shock tolerant, in addition to being very water resistant. Now, the timepiece has everything made by Rolex, including the lubricants, which are Rolex, and the shock protection on the movement, which is Rolex Paraflex. The timepiece has a movement certified as a Swiss chronometer, but Rolex then takes the certified chronometer movement, cases it up in the watch, and times it in 6 positions versus the chronometer 5, ensuring that when the watch leaves the factory, it's running no worse than -2 + 2 seconds per 24 hours. That is the basis for that term superlative chronometer on the dial. It didn't always mean anything concrete. Now it does. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.